everybody, me again. Video quality's not going to be so great, so you're just going to have to bear with me here. This is just a check-in on the happenings. Just an overall update, you could say. I told you guys I started the weight loss thing, and I weighed myself yesterday, and I have gone from 244.8 or .9 when I started a month ago down to 232.4, I think. I can't remember. I log it on my phone so that I can keep track. So I've lost about 12 pounds, I guess you could say. I'm not really overly obsessed with the number on the scale. I mean, yes, it does show me the difference, but ideally I gauge mostly by the fit of my clothing, because like I told you guys before, I was initially in a medium before my mom passed, and premenopause kind of smacked me and threw 60 pounds on my butt, and I went from a medium to an extra large, which I am absolutely not okay with. But just over the time frame, over this last month, I noticed Monday, and my boss actually pointed it out to me when she came through to do some auditing, that my uniforms, which are extra larges, were rather baggy on me. So that's progress, and I will take it. I mean, I probably would have lost more, but like I told you guys, I am not exactly trying to get into the gym here because I'm trying to move. And I'm in the process of trying to finalize fixing my home here to make it easier to sell. But I have, of course, been walking, and I've been doing workouts like that I've pulled from YouTube while I'm at work, and in the evenings while I'm home. And I went today and picked up the next month of my prescription that my doctor gave me to help with cravings and things like that. So between that, the extra activity, and the intermittent fasting that I was on, which actually hasn't been too bad at all, thankfully, I've dropped that 12 pounds, and I'm kind of happy with where it's going, and I'm kind of hoping we can maintain that momentum and get my immune system back on track. Not my immune system. Sorry, my metabolism back on track, so that I don't have to worry about putting the weight back on. I was doing really good for the longest time in relation to my mental health and everything, and I kind of got derailed for a little bit because of an argument with my dad. He mentioned a couple of weeks ago that he was going to start dating again, and I let him know that unless there was someone that was going to be taking a long-term place in his life or our lives as a generality, that I didn't really want to hear about it. And expressed to him, because he said, I'm just lonely, and what's the point of having these things if I can't share them with somebody? And I told him the only thing that I'm going to say is that any relationship wrought out of loneliness tends to end up in disaster and calamity, because I've been there, I've done it, I have the t-shirt, and that he's been warned. So, and that was all I was going to say about any of it, and that was all I wanted to hear of any of it. And I at one point went to his house to pick something up, and he said, come sit on the porch for a minute, let's catch up. And just out of nowhere, he says, by the way, I'm dating that woman. And it turned into a full-on knockdown drag out between me and him, because I let him know I'm not stupid. I already knew that. I kind of figured that weeks ago when you even brought it up. Um, and that I didn't want to hear it, and it turned into everything else. I mean, and he said some very hurtful things in the process. Um, and I left. Later on, he tried to talk to me by text messaging, telling me, I'm your dad, I'm never going to leave you, and I love you, and this and that. And I told him, I said, I understand that you love me, and I get that. But this circumstance shows me how little you like me as an individual, that you couldn't respect the boundaries that I had set up on this issue. Um, and he claims that he did it out of respect, but um, it doesn't feel like it. I mean, respect would be saying she didn't want to hear about it, so I'm just going to kind of leave it alone. Then tried to say, well, what happens if you see me in public? Or what if people try to talk to you about it? I told him that if I saw them in public, that I would proceed on about my life as though they were not there. And that if anyone approached me to discuss it, I would tell them to talk to him about it, because I have no dog in that fight and I will not be participating in it. But that whole conversation, that whole thing turning into an argument, sort of derailed me, because, I've had it pointed out to me that for months after my dad died, my dad sort of used me as a crutch um, to process his grief. That he was having whole conversations with me about everything that was going on and how he was feeling, and the things that he was going through in relation to planning and dealing with the after effects of someone dying, financially, the process, the whole process. And despite the fact that I really had nothing to offer on the matter, and I pointed that out to him, he made it known. He was like, look, everything that I've ever done over the last 43 years has been a part of a two-party system, and my partner is gone, and you are what I have. At the time, I wasn't really bothered by that, because, I understood that he needed the help. I understood he needed somebody to talk to. But because of the fact that everybody around me was so crumbled by their grief, that someone had to maintain their crap, basically, that it sort of fell on me to be that person, even though I didn't want to. It kind of changed the grief process for me. I mean, I could sit alone in my house and cry and sit in those emotions, but I could not have the conversations that I needed to have with people. Not really. Not with the people closest to me, which, would be the norm, because, you are supposed to be able to commiserate with your family and express those thoughts and those feelings together, but I didn't really have that luxury. And it put me on a different timeline, you could say, in relation to processing things. So, the few times that I have made an attempt to talk to him about my feelings and the struggles that I'm having on the grief process were met with, you're not the only one dealing with this. You are not the only one experiencing this. I lost my wife. I lost my best friend, that kind of thing. And I understand that. But And it also came with the "I can't fix this for you." And I did not want anybody to fix it. And I told him that more than once amidst everything. And that I just wanted to be heard and have it acknowledged that I was struggling and that I'm still struggling sometimes. And I just, I didn't get it. And I think with everything that has gone on that, he's at that point where he's turned that corner and he's moving forward with life, but I am still on that path in my mind to an extent, still coming up to the corner. You know what I'm saying? I haven't fully turned it. I feel like I'm there, but I have not turned it completely. And it that whole situation sort of derailed me for about a week, and I went back to what I always do. I isolated myself and didn't want to deal with people. And the one person that I did talk to who listened to me, like right after that whole thing went down, she was incredible. And I'm sure she's probably watching this. And I thank you for listening to me, and I love you. And it's sad that I had to come to someone who's not on the inside of this to express all of that. It's sad, and it's a little maddening. And anyway, the boundary was reestablished and firmly placed that I would not be discussing anybody that he was dating with him until it got to a point where there was going to be some sort of long-term establishment of that person in their life, in his life, and secondarily in mine. I would not be friends with someone who is probably not going to be around. And that, despite his loneliness, having that person there in my life just to make things easier for him was not a priority for me. It's just not. I am still working on trying to make myself okay, and trying to figure out and maneuver how to live this life without my mother, who I can't find somebody to be that person for me. And even if they could sort of be that person for me, they will never be her. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that makes sense to anybody out there, but it is what it is. Anyway, I also laid a new boundary on the fact that because it seems to do nothing but create issues, that I will not be discussing how I'm feeling or my thoughts or what I struggle with in relation to still dealing with any grief that I experienced from my mom dying, and from this point on, I've already decided, that should I feel like I need to address it with somebody, then I'll just seek out a grief counselor or a therapist or something, because, I cannot continue to try to reach out like this and have it do nothing but throw a roadblock at my feet, when I'm trying so hard to move forward and move past, and it's just not beneficial at all. So there's that. Sorry. But I am back on track. I feel okay. I mean, despite, getting a little momentarily emotional, while talking about it, because, talking about it did bring me right back to where I was at in the moment, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. There's really nothing that one can do about that sort of thing, but ride the moment out and, keep going. Um, before anybody says anything in the comments, and I'm sure somebody will at some point. This is the only bad habit that I've got. I promise you. I haven't drank in forever. Won't ever again. I don't overeat. I don't I don't do anything bad other than this. This is the one vice that I've got, and I will eventually work on trying to quit. So, um, I learned again, I had it reestablished for me again why I do not like going into town today. Today I had to go into town to pick up my prescription refill, and I had some other errands to run, and I had to go to the hardware store because I needed some wood putty. I last week I spent probably half a day pressure washing my house and pressure washing my back porch, and got good and soaked, and the porch has been there a long time. So, it looks a lot better, but, there's places where some wood came loose, and, I didn't like the look of it, so I figured I'm going to wood putty it and sand it, and at the very least, it'll be presentable. So went to the hardware store to get putty and a small can of paint so that I could go over the door frames on the outside, because even after pressure washing, they still look a little gross. I had a 5-minute trip turn into a 30-minute long conversation with the guy that's supposed to be helping me about my mom and how he knew her and he loved her and how great she was for the community, and how everybody misses her, and her being gone has derailed everything, and how the hospital's not the same, and all this stuff. And all I wanted was to go through and run my errands. So I got that behind me. I talked to the guy and I thanked him for talking to me and everything, and finished all my stuff there, and had him, told him thank you because he said he was going to pray for me, and, all these things, and went from there to the grocery store because I've had a hankering for about a week now for some ribs, and, borrowed my brother's crock pot so I could take care of that, because anybody who's not done ribs in the crock pot, man, they are very good. By the time you braise them in the oven and everything, you can literally grab the bone and just pull it out. They are so tender. Went in the grocery store, wasn't even 10 feet in the grocery store, and I had a guy that I've known for years, since high school, who I haven't seen in person in a while. He stopped me and asked me how I was doing, and told me he saw everything that happened online with my mom, and then he started talking about it and everything, and I did not want that to turn into a whole conversation, so I sort of changed the subject and started talking about other things, and lost another 10 minutes to that, and I'm back home. So I know it sounds crazy, and I've said it before, but that sort of thing is the reason why I try not to go to town at all, and I go to the next town over that's kind of diagonal to me. It's about the same distance, but I had to go into town today because of the prescription at the pharmacy. So it's just, it would be nice to be able to, sorry, I heard something. It would be nice just to be able to go a day and to go about my day and just generally live my life. Oh my God, it's my cat. Hi, Boo Man. Aw. He came in to take a water break. That's what I was hearing. That's why I was like panicking for a second, because I didn't understand what that sound was. To be able to go about my life and just live my life and not have to have people stop me about it. I mean, it's not been a year yet, next week. Next week will be a year. And, I mean, it still hurts. Especially when, I kind of feel like she was stolen from me, you know? I mean, it would be okay. It may be easier to accept if it were, an illness or a heart attack or something natural, a part of being human and being frail that caused, her passing. Maybe that would have been easier to accept, but, one does not go about one's life thinking that you're going to be prepared when a 16-year-old kid who's barely equipped to drive a Prius is put behind the driver's seat of a dually and expected to be mature enough to be able to look behind them to make sure there's nobody there before they start backing out of a parking spot, And, I have a lot of people who have expressed anger. Not my family. Maybe one or two of my family, but the people in the community that have brought it up to me are especially angry that this 16-year-old kid was not put in jail for what happened. And I am not angry with him. I actually genuinely feel sorry for him. Because as I understand it, he saw what he did and ran to get help. And I'm sure he probably sees it every time he closes his eyes at night, This whole circumstance around my mother's passing was very traumatic for everybody. Not just for me, my family. It was for the community. It was for the kid that caused it. I can't imagine that moving forward for anybody has been easy or uncomplicated, but I just kind of feel like I'm sitting alone in it sometimes, because because it isn't like I get to talk about it as freely as I've needed to. And I'm sorry that you guys have sort of become the outlet, aside from, select people. But it's been a lot. It's been a lot. And, it would be nice just to be okay, to have whole days where I don't think about it. So, that's kind of why I'm doing what I'm doing on here, It gives me the ability to focus on something else, to think about other things, to give me the motivation to do things that I probably wouldn't do if I didn't have this. So, I apologize if I'm oversharing with you guys. This whole thing is not some sort of let me just trauma dump all over everybody and not have to feel it because I've unloaded it on somebody else. But, I understand that there's like a whole community of people out there somewhere that have been through maybe not this exact scenario, but, similar, that have had, unexpected traumatic loss and a complicated grief process, and trying to rebuild yourself and rebuild your life from something so pivotal, and ideally, me doing what I'm doing is to express to anybody who needs to hear it, you're not alone in it. And it's okay that you feel the way that you do. And it's okay to have the setbacks. And it's okay to feel the feelings that comes with those setbacks, I don't want anybody to ever be put in the position that I was in, that it's not okay to be angry and it's not okay to express things the way that you do. And it's, it's not okay to feel hung up sometimes, because that's a part of it, It's just life. And life is complicated. Life is difficult. Anybody that tells you that they don't have any difficulties in their life have been incredibly sheltered. That's just a fact. So, sorry about the video being really long and everything, but I wanted to make sure you guys knew everything that was going on, because I have talked about things and I kind of let them hang in the open air for a little while I goofed around and did stuff to try to, create some moments of joy, to be able to laugh at myself, to be able to have a little bit of fun, and I don't want you guys thinking that I've just sidestepped or stepped off of the path that I laid out for myself, and I can guarantee you that I haven't. This is my journey. And it is one of purpose. To have the moments of joy, to have enough of them that they can hopefully produce something in the way of happiness, even if for a short period, I've said before, because my dad and my brother at some point have brought it up, you should learn to be happy. Everybody should be happy. And, I don't really know if I can believe in just living happy, like in a perpetual state of happiness. I don't even think there is such a thing, but I do think that having moments of joy, if you can string enough of them together to produce periods of happiness, I believe that can be attainable, So, that's where I'm at. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm kind of sharing with you guys. I appreciate you guys being on the ride with me, So, that being said, I have projects to work on and ribs to try to cook, and I'm going to leave you guys to it. Remember, my mom always said, have your dreams. Dream big. Dreams are free. But to have those dreams, be sure to remember that the hustle costs extra to get there. So go out and hustle. I thank you guys again for checking in. And I thank you guys for sitting through all this. I mean, it's probably more than you wanted, but I appreciate it more than you'll ever know. You all have a good one. Look forward to seeing you guys again. Bye.